Hello, I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe. Hello, and welcome to another episode of An Old Guy in Europe. Thanks for joining me. So, being from Santa Cruz, California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, I thought it would be fun to check out its namesake in Portugal shortly after I arrived. This was back in July of 2022. If you'd like to hear more about how I got here to Portugal and my relationship to Santa Cruz, California, be sure to check out episodes 2 and 3 of An Old Guy in Europe. In the meantime, in this episode, I share some of the visuals from my first visit to Santa Cruz, Portugal. So please, as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy. With Santa Cruz, California being my inspiration for ultimately finding and moving to Ericeira, Portugal, I thought it would be fun to see if I could find a Santa Cruz, Portugal to explore. As I began my search for a Santa Cruz in Portugal, I soon discovered that Portugal can be a bit tricky because there can be several different places here that share the exact same name. This was my experience with Santa Cruz. I found multiple places in Portugal with that name, so my first challenge was to find a Santa Cruz, Portugal that might resemble the Santa Cruz, California I was looking for. Through the process of elimination, I ultimately discovered only one that was on the Atlantic coast. That one was Santa Cruz Silveira, or Torres Vedras, which turned out to be only 25 kilometers, or roughly 16 miles north of Ericeira. So back in July of 2022, with a ride from my Portuguese family, who were on their way to nearby Torres Vedras and happy to drop me off, I had the opportunity to visit and explore Santa Cruz for a few hours on a beautiful summer day. Probably the most outstanding feature of Santa Cruz, Portugal is its roughly 5 kilometers or just over 3 miles of golden sand beach. One very distinct landmark of the beach at Santa Cruz is a huge rock formation toward the southern end of the beach. With 2 small coves just south of that. After finding my way to the beach, I soon discovered that the slope of the sand at the water's edge was fairly steep and a little tricky to walk on. But the beautiful azure sea, white foam waves, clear blue sky, and bright sun made my 2-kilometer walk well worth the workout. Santa Cruz is a relatively small city, much of which I was able to explore in my few hours there. Aside from the local residents, there is some tourism, but mostly local Portuguese vacationers, as opposed to the large number of international visitors as well as Portuguese that Ericeira draws. And of course, as is true with many Portuguese beach areas, surfing is an attraction in Santa Cruz as well. In fact, there just happened to be a surfing competition being held on the day I visited. All in all, it was a beautiful day and such a delightful pleasure to meet the Portuguese sister to my beloved Santa Cruz, California. After a tasty almoço, with a brisk imperial of course, and a little more exploration, I was off to meet my ride where I had been dropped off and return home to Ericeira.